Hello, nerds, and welcome to the Engadget podcast. This is episode 33, Losing My Edge, joined this week by a very familiar face in Dana Woolman, Carb Queen of the Engadget realm.
Hi.
I always love your giggles. They make me very
And
happy.
I do have the giggles today.
You do.
Yeah.
It's been a very giggly morning for
Yes.
you. We also have a fresh new face, Evan Rodgers, newest member of the Engadget family.
Hello.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Yeah, no, I'm Evan Rodgers. That is my name, and I am the new social media manager for this publication.
How was your first, what are we on, week 2?
We are on week 2, that's right.
So how's the first 2 weeks being on the team so far?
I mean, it's been great. The team is, like, incredible. Very high energy, which I
There's
love.
a lot of weird sides to your job. One of them being gadget pornographer, basically.
Oh,
You
my
just
God.
he's the guy putting up all of those really slick, well shot photos on Instagram.
Is that like a thing you love? Like,
Oh, yeah.
like, be honest with me. Like, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
you can be upfront here. Like, that's like a thing
Oh, yeah,
that
he
like
showed up at
you're
work.
really into.
I was right. I brought my tripod. Like,
He's like,
we've
"Where's
got
your
lights. Yeah.
Where are your gadgets?
Which drawers are the cameras in? I got work to do.
Where's the closet filled with shiny things that have buttons and lights on them?
Exactly.
Um,
Listen, the people love it.
it's true.
It gets the people going.
I gotta say, I enjoy gadget porn, but I'm also a guy who really loves like things that have lots of buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, like when I see like a nice phone, it's not so great, but like you show me like a big piece of stereo equipment that's got like knobs and sliders and shit, like or like a synthesizer, I'm like all over it.
I think that's the problem with stuff that we have right now. It's very shiny, which is great.
Yes.
But, texturally, I mean, especially when it comes to
Phone-
photography, like I want the buttons and
Yeah.
dials.
Phones are, honestly a little boring sometimes. That's
Well, I mean, we just put up the, it's funny that you mentioned this. We just put up the picture on Instagram of the Galaxy Tab S3. And, like, the tablet is cool. The tablet is, like, a good tablet, but the like, visually interesting part is the keyboard.
yeah.
So if like in all the pictures I took for that, the Instagram we ended up putting up was like the one that you should put up, which is the whole thing. But the cool shots were all like of the keyboard and like the.
And it's funny because Charlene, the
contacts.
reviewer, did not actually like the keyboard that much. I think she wrote a sentence like, I was able to tolerate it most of the time.
I mean, yeah, functionality, who knows? But
Yeah.
just in terms of, but a tablet is sometimes it's just a rectangle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and to be clear, I'm not saying necessarily that our photos are boring. Just like as a product category, like phones and tablets, they've kind of like reached this like point where there's not too much of a difference between most of them. Like they're all kind of
yeah.
the same. They're glass rectangles that run
That
apps.
iPhone in the office was fun the other day. You missed that.
I did. I miss most things that happen in the office. To be clear.
I just want to put this out there. I just don't like it in pictures, but in real life, it actually does look like really cool.
I would prefer it if the front hat were in black and not
my
white.
gosh.
We've had an intense debate in the office about this. What color scheme Apple should have gone with.
Does
And
anyone know why?
We have opinions on
Like,
other things too,
why?
but yeah.
we have opinions on other things too, but most importantly is the color scheme.
I am truly unclear on why they went with white.
But yeah, it's like a Swiss flag kind of thing.
It is like it's got a very like candy cane Christmas vibe going on because of that white front. Also, I have to imagine that they like sell a lot more of the black ones, and so they have like, I don't know, higher inventory numbers of.
This is
Speculating
like
now, but,
a
like-
Maybe they
sled of an iPhone.
Maybe the issue is that they sell so many more black ones, so they have all of the white faces left over, just like sitting in a warehouse. And it's like, what do we do with it? Slap it on this phone instead.
I don't know. You'd think that the monumental rise of rose gold would have something to do with that.
Don't
but
give us anything, guys. We're really ungrateful
It's true.
yeah.
and unappreciative.
By the way, before we move on, is that new iPhone in the office currently? Can I go play with it and look at it?
On air?
Not on air, just in general.
After?
Yeah, when we're done recording
I
this.
think is harboring it
So I have to hope that he comes into the office with it.
or find him.
And then mug him.
Yes. Hey, who did I threaten to mug last time? I threaten a lot of violence against
I think
people
it
on
was
this show.
Nate, but either way, people you could probably take in a fight.
Oh, I threatened. No, it was Devindra. I threatened to jump him for a Switch.
You could also.
Oh, fair. I mean, honestly, fair.
Yeah.
Because it's your only source now.
Yeah, I really wanted to play Zelda, and I didn't want to pay $360 to do it.
Well, you can't now.
Yeah, it's true. So we're running one of our themed weeks here on the site. We're doing Adult Week, and by adult we don't mean not safe for work stuff. This is, how to kind of act like a grown-up on the internet, online, how to deal with like the sort of pressures that come with our modern technological age and all of that nonsense. And also just kind of like self-improvement through technology, which I think is something that gets a lot of lip service from people, but
Totally.
is often fails unless you approach it properly. I think, correct me if you guys disagree, but I think like this whole like sort of technological stuff, like apps to make yourself a better person, really kind of lowers the bar to entry to where nobody feels like they have to put any effort in. And so it's like, oh, I'm gonna pick up this app to like train my brain to make me smarter, and then it just kind of becomes like a thing they do on the commute to work like once or twice, only half pay attention, and then never use the app again.
Totally. I
Yeah.
mean, like, the the ebook like education market has just been like popping for like the last 5 years or whatever, and then like self-help books have been the thing since the beginning of time. But
Well, then there's the internet. I mean, not even just apps specifically, but just for all the crap that's on the internet, all the stuff you can actually, useful stuff,
Yeah.
you can actually learn.
And I mean, learning to identify the useful stuff versus like the garbage is also kind of difficult, and I think like an important part of becoming like a grown up, and the whole digital literacy thing.
truly the struggle is real.
So, I mean, one of the things that that sort of inspired us to do this week was my own experiences becoming more comfortable in the kitchen.
Yes.
And that was mostly through what I learned on the internet and crowdsourcing on social media.
Yeah, and this is something we didn't get to write about, unfortunately. You did not do a piece on that this week, but I want to dig into it. I actually want to talk about that quite a bit. I don't think any of us wrote any pieces for this theme week on the show, unfortunately.
The perfect cast.
I mean, I guess technically I did, in that I wrote a piece introducing the concept of Adult Week.
I don't think a piece on how I came to subscribe to Martha Stewart's newsletter would be very on brand for us.
I don't know about that. I think you could make it work.
Yeah.
But I mean, all right, so hang on. Before we get to that, because before we really dive down that rabbit hole, let's kind of just talk a little bit about the sort of genesis of this. And I mean, what's the sort of reasoning behind doing these sorts of themed weeks too? Like, and not like an insidery media way, but like
Traffic.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying is, outside of that, obviously there's lulls in the news cycle, and you have to fill that space with something, and
But I mean, I think readers enjoy it, but we enjoy it.
Yeah.
These are the stories I enjoy editing most, and I think writers enjoy not only writing them, but the brainstorming process.
Well, this is, I think, one of the strengths of these, and why these sorts of things always tend to do pretty well in terms of the quality of the content and in terms of traffic, is that this gives people on staff to kind of break out their expertise and passion in a way that they don't normally get to do during the news cycle. Like when you're attached to reporting on things that are going on and worrying about whatever the newest phone is, or whatever FCC regulation is getting struck down that week, you don't get to really dive into things about like how you've made the conscious decision as a father to keep your child off the internet and
I think that's-
stop sharing and not share photos of them, so that they don't have this record a mile long by the time they turn 16.
So I think that's what I loved about this theme week. Theme weeks in general are such a good opportunity to go deep on a topic, but this theme week, being an adult online, was just really great because a bunch of people had very personal, but also like directly actionable stories.
Yeah.
Those were some of the surprising pitches we got.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't published everything yet. By the time this will go up, I think we still have a couple of stories in the bag when this episode airs. But I mean, like we've got a good mix of like servicey kind of things, like how to kind of protect yourself and navigate the dangerous world of the internet. But we've also got like good things like Dan Cooper's piece about his decision not to put photos of his child online. We've got Nicole Lee's piece about learning, how how to like step her fashion game up and like move away from the t-shirt and
Oh my gosh.
jeans of college.
That resonated with me.
I mean, me too. Like, it's a thing. Like, I know. Like, clearly, I'm, a little bit of a dandy at this point. I guess would be a way to put it.
You are on camera formal right now.
Yeah. But like growing up, like when I was in high school, I wore literally nothing but black T-shirts and jeans. Like, it was just like 9 Inch Nails T-shirts. And
Terrence, that's so much better than what I wore in high school.
I feel like Goth Terrence needs to make a comeback for
We
an
need
episode
that.
or two.
I don't know that I can pull it off. I'm fairly certain I don't have jeans baggy enough for that anymore, and I'm not going out and buying any.
Oh, I mean, you gotta update the style. I mean,
Yeah. And I definitely don't have any band T-shirts left in my repertoire. I might have some beer T-shirts. Do those work?
I'm sure I can find you a subscription box.
Of just
That
band
will-
T-shirts?
Yes.
I mean, if I could dig up my T-shirt from the first Family Values tour and wear it on the air, I would 100% do that. Just Korn and Rammstein, guys.
Note to self.
I actually think there's a photo of me in that shirt on the internet
We
somewhere.
will find it.
I think it might be on the site.
But no, the dressing like an adult one. I did recently look through. Like, I wanted to know. I know some people who are like on the Blue Apron train.
Mhm.
They love it. They sponsor a lot of podcasts. Not a sponsor. But I really wanted to know if those fashion boxes like really could take you where you wanted to go, and it's actually complicated. Like, there's a lot of options out there, and also like everyone's like fashion is just such an individual thing.
I'm
Yeah.
afraid of putting my money there. I feel like I could easily do a lot of damage.
Well,
if
it's
I touched
designed.
it.
It's
Yeah.
designed to be. Most of them are designed to be like the Netflix DVD subscription, where you just they send you all 3 DVDs and you just have them forever. And
Yeah.
they get like $2,000 out of you.
I managed to avoid really subscribing to any of those boxes.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't tempted by them, but I did have a Frank and Oak subscription. And
Oh,
I use
really?
that term loosely because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not really a proper subscription. But basically, like once a month. Previously, they've changed their model now. I don't really know how it works. Also, they've changed the cut of all of their clothes, and I can't fit in any of them anymore. But
Classic.
terrible. They also put spandex and everything now, which is just like
Yeah, so
I'm not a fan.
That's this piece mentions Uniqlo, and as like the world's largest Uniqlo fanboy,
because it's great.
oh, it's amazing. It's also I know somebody who a writer from Racked, and she always said that Uniqlo is the place where men go to get it done. Because they just don't have clothes. They shop in these like ridiculous cycles where they just won't buy clothes.
Totally respectable. Yeah.
Totally respectable. You just go into Uniqlo and you're like, yo, I'm about to drop $600. let's obtain. But they do put stretchy material in a lot of their stuff now.
They do.
Which is not great for me. Listen, if I was a slim, tall man, oh my gosh, it'd be so great. Non-reality.
But
though.
Wait, isn't it like meteor people who would need the stretch?
No. Because you want the stretch so like the clothes will cling to your slender figure.
Yeah, so that you can buy them slim, but you can still move around in them a little bit
Yeah.
without so much restriction. I'll say this: I'm sure material science has improved somewhat over the past couple of years, but I owned one.
That's fair.
I've owned one pair of stretch jeans in my life, and you could only wear them once.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah,
after one day of wear, they were insanely. It looked
Just-
like I was wearing a diaper under my jeans. I was like, well, these have to go back in the dryer on high so that I can shrink
Yep.
them.
So that's not true of the ones I'm wearing. I don't want to get us off topic. Just I was complaining to these. Speaking of dressing like an adult and what the internet has taught me, I was complaining to these guys before we started filming that I forgot when I put on these pants today and brought them to the gym that it was my first time wearing them since I put them in the dryer. So you guys watching on YouTube are lucky that you're seeing me buttoned up fully over here. I can dress like a grown up. Yeah.
Cheers.
I've got everything under control, including my fly.
Man. So yeah, there's just so much good stuff on the site this week. Definitely, please go read it. We'll leave all of the links in the the description, the spot.
Show notes. Let's get that in there.
Yeah, and definitely need to give a shout out to Eric Sagan, who did all the art for this week, and the art is amazing. It is so good. I love it so much. So yeah, just relish in the art. Just like roll around in it for a little while. Print Print out copies of the articles, put them on the floor, and then roll around in them. Just just get down on there.
So what did you guys think about this story that Chris did? I don't know how to drive, and I may never have to learn.
I relate to that pretty strongly.
Yeah, I thought that was
Chris
really
and
fascinating.
I envy her.
Chris and I have some things in common. We both grew up in Brooklyn. And I actually do have a license, but I haven't driven since I got my license nearly 12 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well as not have
I'm
a license.
effectively a non-driver. And like,
I would not trust you behind the wheel of a car, just
I
to be
wouldn't
clear.
trust you. No, there's a reason I don't drive the CES clown car van
Oh yeah.
every year.
So John Turi is the one who normally drives the CES van every year. I only discovered last year that he had like not driven in years before going to CES, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "No." He's like, "I lives in Brooklyn. You don't need to drive really. He doesn't own a car," and so we dragged him out to the desert in Las Vegas and put him behind the wheel of a
Turi's
giant.
also a native New Yorker.
Yeah, he is not a native New Yorker. He is a New Yorker at heart, but he's not a native New Yorker. He's not born here.
What?
I know. Do you feel lied to?
Yes.
You can confront him later. Okay. I mean, he is as a very judgmental native New Yorker. He's one of the few people I will say is a New Yorker, despite the fact that he was not born here. He is New York through and through, like for real.
Yeah, I haven't been here long enough, but I would believe it.
I mean, Turi's been here, I think, for 20 plus years.
Whoa.
He's been here since the mid '80s, at least.
He must have a great apartment.
I've only ever seen photos of it, but it is a very nice apartment.
Fair.
And he has a stunning vinyl collection.
I could see that. So yeah, I mean this I just recently spent a bunch of time in like rural Tennessee, and it's really interesting because everybody kind of complains about New York City drivers. And in my experience, like New York City drivers, while they may like seem like just anybody who's new to the city, they may seem like crazy people. They are on, like, if you drive in New York, you're on high alert all the time, and you're probably not going like more than like 30 miles an hour. So it seems really hectic, and the traffic is really intense, but you know, everybody is looking out for like a completely random pedestrian who's like decided they want to walk through traffic for no reason. In Tennessee, though, especially like in the outskirts of Nashville, the design of the highway system and of the roadway system that leads off the highways is really very puzzling. And from, you know, talking with friends and talking with family who are down there, like the number of accidents that happen is actually really intense. Like you can be driving with someone and they can point out like where like a 5-car pileup happened like right over here because the city has never updated like an off-ramp to accommodate like really high speeds.
Yeah.
You know, people will come around it at really high speeds and they're just not designed for that. So like while I was missing New York, like New York is great and all, but in terms of just never having to drive, like, oh my gosh, the highway situation there is so bad. And if we could, like some automated vehicles, like there's all kinds of different tiers that they talk about now in terms of like if you're a New Yorker and you want to go to Jersey, like just getting into the car, like the self-driving car just on the highway, and then finding some other kind of solution after you make it off the highway. I'll tell you what, man, like in Nashville, that would be incredible.
Oh, I mean,
so many lives would be saved.
So you're saying you trust machines more than the good people of Tennessee?
Oh my, yes, hands down, money on it. Like, run for office on that. Like,
yeah,
absolutely.
I'm lining up to buy the first automated car. Like for so many reasons, so many reasons.
Yes.
Just in general, I hate driving. but also this is a
That's the thing. I actually love driving, but I am terrified by other people.
well, that's the thing is I hate driving in New York. I should
Yeah.
be
That's
really
not very
clear
fun.
about. Or
Yes.
Jersey. Jersey is just as bad, if not worse,
Yes.
under certain circumstances, depending. I do a lot of road trips with my wife and stuff for vacation just because it's
that's
cheap
great.
and stuff, and it's a great way to see a bunch of places. And that I'm usually okay with. Like,
Yep.
I'm fine, like, long stretches when you're, like, not worried about getting to a place on
Totally.
time. That's
But what
fine.
if you could also not actually drive,
Well,
but,
that
just,
was-
but just ride?
Well, so like we actually went to Nashville not last year, I think the year before, but we
so
also
glad you
did,
survived.
yeah, but we also did a couple of days on the Bourbon Trail.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
nice.
we got,
Highly recommend that for anyone, by the way.
oh my god,
It's so good.
it's the best. But I mean, we got 3 places under our belt in 2 days, but I had to drive. You cannot do more
No.
than 2 distilleries in a day and drive.
Pro tip,
really.
you get smashed.
Like-
you get absolutely smashed.
We
You don't
walked.
have to, but you will.
You probably we walked out of the second place and we're like, we should probably sit in the car for a little while, just like take a breather.
It's
hang
really,
out.
I mean, it's such a fun time, but yeah, you mean you can't just like sip on like 100 different whiskeys. And,
No.
You know?
Yeah, I don't think we're at a point where you can live in every part of the country and not be a driver, but I think the stigma of not being a driver is maybe starting to go away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think being an adult necessarily means having a license to the
No.
extent it did in our
Totally.
parents' generation.
No, not at all. And I mean, I live in New York, but I live on Staten Island, which is very car heavy. You have to drive. We also have an absurd amount of cars. I think like last check, it
Like,
was like
you have an absurd number
I
of
don't have an
cars?
absurd amount of cars.
You've
just
got
like
13 cars.
I have a car, but I think the last study said something like the average house on Staten Island, average household has 2.5 cars. Like it's like they're like
makes sense.
children at this point.
Yeah.
So there's cars everywhere. Traffic is atrocious, and it's all of the worst parts of New York drivers, basically, like that, like real aggressiveness and all of that, with a really bizarre sort of sense of entitlement and that lack of attention that you get out in the other
100
place,
million%,
because it's
yes.
not as much of a pedestrian place.
Yeah.
So I mean, like it's an atrocious place to drive. I have atrocious road rage because of it.
It is a circular thing like that.
But we also have our public transportation system on Staten Island is not very good.
Really?
So the rest of New York City, serviced by trains, you're great, you're solid, no matter where you want to go, pretty
Yeah.
much.
What's crazy from an infrastructure standpoint is the fact that you cannot bike over the Verrazano Bridge, this huge famous
Wait, really?
bridge
Oh.
connecting Brooklyn to Staten Island.
There's
There's no bike path.
let's not
Is
talk,
there no pedestrian path either?
nope.
No.
Let's not talk about the Verrazano Bridge. That will take us down.
Oh,
a long,
he's
a
getting
long-
red with anger. Look at this guy.
Well, it's
Robert Moses is the worst thing that ever happened to New York City, and specifically Staten Island.
He's pointing. Look at that.
I
pointing.
I love the Verrazano Bridge. It's a very beautiful bridge. Robert Moses destroyed it. There should have been a train. There should have been bike paths. There should have been pedestrians. But Robert Moses loves cars too much.
He's mad.
I
He's
am
mad.
mad. I want a train into
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
but-
It's really dumb that there's not a train over that bridge in Brooklyn.
Did you guys go to the Hyperloop, like demo thing? That was like last
Engadget
year?
did,
Yes.
but not us personally.
Okay. I just think it's so funny because that is such a high flying goal and it's so sci-fi and it's so cool. But like, if you live in New York, though, like, the only cool technology-based like infrastructure hacks that we have are like definitely going to be self-driving cars.
Yeah.
Like, we can't even get the L train to work.
No. Before we disappear down this rabbit hole anymore of me yelling about
Infrastructure, guys.
infrastructure and public transit.
Public
'cause
transportation. The people
we-
want to know.
I could do an entire hour and a half of just me yelling about public transportation.
I feel like what's the opposite of a safe word? A trigger word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
Verrazano Bridge, bikes, and Robert Moses. Like
We're like
did
venturing
it for
towards
you.
I'm walking
Yeah.
here.
Robert Moses is definitely it. Last thing I'll say about Robert Moses before we move on. There is a Mount Moses on Staten Island, which is literally a pile of rubble left over from building the Staten Island Expressway that they dumped in the middle of the woods. Like it's like,
That sounds cool.
I mean, it's kind of cool,
Let's go
but it's
take photos of that.
It's not like it's not an an honor that they named it after him. It's like
No.
they call it after him because it's like, you're a piece of garbage who left a bunch of garbage on our island. Thanks.
Thank
Like, it's literally just like piles of rebar and concrete. I will leave it at that.